Start the Zoom.
Recording.
Let us know when you're ready.
There's two iPhones, so one of them might be James. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he called it on his phone last time, too.
Okay, shall we check? Here he is. I just saw James.
Jay Russell, is that him?
Here's James right there.
Is it Jay Russell?
Yes.
You're muted.
I'm working on it. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
there you
now?
go. We got James.
Okay, hang on. Let me.
You there, James?
Yes, sir.
I think we're ready to go.
Let's do it. Oh, wait. Let me get off my phone.
All right, are we rolling, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay.
We're recording.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody to the August meeting of the Town of Brighton Planning Board. My name is Bill Price. I am the chairman of the Planning Board. I would like to introduce all of the board members to you. With us tonight are Laura Civiletti, John Osowski, Jason Babcock Steiner, James Wentworth. I'm not sure if David Fader is here,
No, he will not be here tonight.
not be here. And Pam Delaney is also a member. All
He is not here tonight either.
right. David Dollinger is the assistant town attorney. He represents the planning board. And Jeff Frisch is here helping with technical assistance from the town. And Ramsey Boehner, I apologize for that phone. Ramsey Boehner is the town planning board secretary. I'm sorry about that. I can't get there quick enough. Tonight's meeting is our third planning board meeting since we've gone virtual. We will have public hearings tonight, and we will also have the deliberations by the planning board. When you wish to speak to an application, we will first listen to the applicant and his consultants or her consultants. The board will then ask questions, and then we will open it up to members of the public to speak on behalf or in favor of an application, or ask any questions or clarifications that you desire. Please remember that you're asking the questions to the planning board, and we will in turn ask the applicant for a response. With this format, you may be on either Zoom or YouTube or some other format. If you want to be heard, there is a function to raise your hand so that you can be asked to, or you can let us know to let you in and unmute you so that you can ask your questions. If you, for some reason, can't figure out how to raise your hand, wave frantically at the camera, and Jeff or Ramsey will hopefully see you, and we can figure out how to get you unmuted so that you can ask a question. I have already done some introductions, but Ramsey, would you please call the roll for tonight?
Remember Wentworth,
Here.
Price,
Here.
Civiletti,
Here.
Babcock Steiner,
Yeah.
Osowski.
Here.
Absent is Fader and Delaney.
Thank you. We do have meeting minutes from our July meeting, July 15th. Has everybody had a chance to review the meeting minutes? Thumbs up will do. Thumbs up. Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of July as written?
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sowski,
John Osowski seconds. Any comments, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And everybody? Any nay? Okay. Minutes are approved. Mr. Secretary, would you kindly inform us if tonight's public hearings have been properly advertised?
yes, the public hearings for this evening was advertised in the Brighton Pittsford Post of August 13, 2020.
And these have also been posted on the town's website for review. That is correct?
That is correct.
So there's also, so the public has access to the links to actually see the drawings and all of the application materials.
That is correct. And we will also, Jeff will be sharing the plans as the meeting progresses.
Okay. Our first application tonight is application 8P01-20, application of John Greer, owner, for preliminary and final site plan approval to expand an existing restaurant parking lot on property located at 2171 West Henrietta Road. Is Mr. Greer or anybody representing this application out there ready to raise their hand?
There is, I'm trying to unmute Kate.
Can you guys hear me or see me?
I can
There
hear
you are.
you.
Yep, we can hear you.
Can hear you.
Kate, is there anyone that you'd like us to unmute? And
You know, I think John's going to be online. I haven't seen him come on yet, but
if you could let us know when you see him, we could ask him to join us.
certainly.
If you could identify yourself for the stenographer.
Yep. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board. My name is Cade Krieger with DDS Engineers. Also with me tonight is going to be John Gear, the owner and developer, and the landscape architect for the project, Heinrich Fischer, should be online as well.
Thank you. Cade, would you kindly give us some real background on this one? I'm not really familiar with how we got here. In looking at the project, I noticed there's new sealant on the pavement. The building has a lot of renovations. Does this have architect, so go through the history of it and tell us who the architect is and how did we get so much improvements and what you're asking for tonight.
Sure. So John has been working with Scott Fisk of Party Partners Architects to renovate the building. They went through a zoning board process with a land use attorney to get the restaurant to operate under a special use permit.
A use variance, excuse me, just to make the record correct. It was a use variance.
Use variance, yes. Thank you. And so that's how the restaurant is able to operate, continue to operate as a restaurant in a residential zone district, which is RLB, which is low density B residential. Other than that, John is still working with the architect to solve a couple zoning issues that he's dealing with. And also he desires to ultimately increase the occupancy for the building to make his restaurant work. And that's why we're here tonight in conjunction with that is to get approval, to expand the site parking lot so that it can handle that future expansion.
Okay. So tell us what, so the expansion, the eight spaces along the road frontage, West Henrietta Road frontage, are they appear to be already there and striped?
I believe they are, yes. So previously the spaces were in the same location, perpendicular. Our plan is changing those to parallel to change the circulation of the site and the traffic flow along 15 there and get a more efficient use of the property.
It appears that one curb cut is closed, yet there's a curb cut onto West Henrietta and a curb cut onto the road to the south. And I apologize, I don't.
It's furlong.
Furlong,
Okay,
yep.
that's furlong. Making a left out of there is damn near impossible. Why do you still want to have those two curb cuts?
Well, I think by those two, you mean the one on Furlong and the one on 15. So,
Yeah. Why wouldn't you consolidate it to one?
right. Well, I think John wants to keep as many accesses as possible if he can. Obviously, there used to be 4, and we're going to reduce it down to 3. It's a busy road, I agree. And turning left out of there will be hard. Maybe it would be better if it was a right only or something of that nature. But I think it's still, John still wants to provide access off of 15, with a turn lane there if he can. That being said, I think we'd be open to taking a second look at that. Because ultimately, we got 2 accesses, one on Doncaster, one on Furlong that'll serve the property.
Hey, did they get the necessary DOT permits to do the work in the right of way?
No, there's no DOT permits.
Was the
applied for
curb cut closed off already?
No, I think there might be some temporary barriers across there, but it is not permanently closed. It's not obstructed.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand them changing the parking without coming into the planning board and trying to understand what's going on out there myself, Bill.
Yeah. Obviously, John needs to get all the permits from the town of Brighton to do the improvements that we have on this plan. So as to what's been done out there, I guess I can't necessarily speak to that, but going forward, I think he understands that he's got to hold off on anything until we get the proper permits.
Now, you are wanting to have an ice cream window as part of this application. Where is that ice cream window and how is that going to work?
Yeah, so if you look at the plan of the building, it's on the north side. It's kind of it's labeled as the existing 1-story building in the back there. On the north face of that building, there's a slider window that is going to be utilized to serve ice cream. So people will drive up to those 4 spots up at the top there, and then the 4 spots across from that, and the parking lot to the north, and they'll be able to walk up to get ice cream. And there might be some outdoor seating, picnic tables or something out there to serve that as well.
Is that part of your application to the Zoning Board of Appeals?
Yes, yep.
That have additional outdoor seating?
I don't know if John has applied specifically for outdoor seating. I would have to defer to Scott on that. If not, he might want to look at that. Otherwise, he won't have seating out there.
Because I think it'd be very helpful for the planning board to know how many seats are being proposed, how much parking you're needing, and a little bit trying to understand why you want to close off the one curb cut. And maybe you want to close off both on West Henrietta Road. There's a conflict point with Furlong and West Henrietta Road. Do you feel that same concern?
Yeah, I think that is a congested area. It's busy. Like I said, it's an existing site. We're trying to do the best with it that we can. If the board's going to make that a condition, obviously we got to take a look at that and incorporate that into our design.
Have you guys considered relocating the parallel parking out of where they are to somewhere else?
No, I don't think we have any space to put those anywhere else.
What's the entire site here? How many acres is this whole site? Is it the big
2.5 acres?
2.5 acres, and you don't have anywhere else to put 8 spaces?
Well, we're trying to utilize existing pavement to the greatest extent possible. Otherwise we get into, more stormwater issues, more paving that John doesn't want to do. So
Yeah, but that area could be
the
restored
parking with
as
the
a
space
lawn
that we
area.
have there at the existing site.
You may want to look at closing off additional curb cuts to try to pick up some area that you could maybe use for additional parking or something.
Yeah, I think, if we closed off that additional curb cut there and we'd still be allowed to have parallel parking there, we could gain a spot or two, I think.
No, well, it's up to the board. I have concerns about the parallel parking.
Yeah. I did see a hand. The owner is apparently on the line someplace.
I think I saw
what
John
I'm-
there.
Yep. Hello. Can anyone
Kate
hear me?
and- Yeah, before you speak, John, will you please tell us how you got to this point? And how are things so advanced without the planning board having seen any of these ideas before?
Well, the only thing that, so for starters, that one area isn't closed off at all. There's just some concrete buckets with some posts and caution tape. That spot is extremely dangerous. So I just, for our own safety and for other people's safety, we just temporarily closed that off.
John, for the record, could you identify yourself?
My name's John Gear from 2171 West Henrietta Road,
Thank you.
Sonny's Family Diner. So we didn't close anything off. We did seal the parking lot, and my sealer guy kind of got excited and did stripe it. And it was already done, so there was nothing I could do. I still had to pay for it and everything like that. I heard you guys talking about the other side, so it would be the south side on 15, not the one going on to Furlong. That would be ideal for a right turn only, just to not congest the north side of the parking lot, because it is kind of tight. So, but as far as any other
Did the
advancement
traffic engineer look at the plan for the access control and traffic circulation through this site?
Say that again, Ramsey. I didn't hear the first part.
Did a traffic engineer look at this site as far as the curb cuts to be closed, not to be closed, to be kept open with the increased occupancy that's being proposed?
Yeah, so we sent the plan to the New York State DOT, and they gave us comments initially. They're obviously fully on board with closing that northern entrance off of 15. And the only other stipulations they gave us were the southern access onto 15, they want reduced in size to 30 feet. I think currently it's like 42 feet wide or something like that. And that we keep any permanent proposed site features out of the right of way. In addition, they want all the pavement that's currently in the right of way restored to grass where we're closing off that entrance.
Did you have a traffic engineer prepare a report for DOT? I'd like to see that, or whatever they made the decisions on closing the curb cuts.
No, we did not. We have not done a traffic study. No.
Did you write the letter to DOT?
Yes.
You did. Okay.
Yep.
And in that letter, what you just asked to close the one curb cut, did you do a study?
No, we didn't do a study. No, we
See
sent,
where the best placement of a curb cut may be?
excuse me?
Based on site, did you do a study to determine what the best location of a curb cut may be on West Henrietta Road, given site distance and all the other issues?
No, we
That,
typically
you're
wouldn't
trying
do
to
that
add
unless, no, typically we would not do that unless directed by the town when it's an existing condition. Actually, you know, John is approved to use the restaurant as is. He could leave both those open and not go ahead with the expansion. It's pre-existing conditions that we're trying to deal with and make the best out of. So
I understand that, but it's the increased occupancy that's being proposed that's kicking this all off. So you're right on that. That's very true.
yeah.
Okay, how about an explanation of the parking lot? What, Ramsey, does this have a site data table? I'm sorry, do we know what the occupancy is that is proposed and
No,
what
it's
the,
not provided.
and what the required parking would be?
We have not been provided that.
Okay. All right,
So can I comment on that?
please.
Yeah, so we can have 66 inside the building and 24 at the south patio. We currently, for the existing spots, it was off of the existing lines that were there, and it was in the 30s. So that's how the 66 number came out. And then there was something was left off that in a town error regarding the south patio. That's not listed at all on the current use of the existing restaurant. And I think, Ramsey, you were there when we had that discussion with Rick. That there was.
No, you have 64 seats inside, 24 seats outside, with
Yeah,
32 parking
thank you.
spots is what I show.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
So by code,
So Bill, they
Ramsey,
did come in to get architectural review board approval.
okay,
That's how the improvements were made to the building itself,
okay,
which they were permitted to do.
okay.
Now he's wanting to expand the occupancy and add in an ice cream window.
Okay,
So what we need to know, because they also need to apply to the zoning board of appeals to request modification of the conditions of the use variance to increase the occupancy and to have the ice cream window. They also need a variance because they are asking not to install the automatic sprinkler system.
yeah. I've
And the
read
plans that were submitted also need a pavement setback variance from Doncaster Road. The plans that also were submitted also needed a coverage variance, a front yard coverage variance, but a revised plan was submitted yesterday, I believe. Jeff, if you could probably show that corrected the issue of the coverage.
it
But
was-
we are left with the other variances, the other 3 variances that need to be obtained. Once those variances are obtained, we may have a better idea of how many seats they can have and what the numbers we're dealing with
yeah.
as far as seats go.
So we're currently looking for 100, which was according to Scott, which was, the limit.
The limit of number of seats, indoor and outdoor?
That was for indoor.
Well, that's for indoor.
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, now post-COVID, it's going to be a little different, but, passing that, then, 100 would be, because that was the same as with the sprinkler system with New York State and town code. If that variance is granted, that would be the limit, the max anyway.
Okay. I guess, Kate, I was looking for a little discussion on the additional parking that's proposed and how you came up with the configuration and why there's no sidewalks anywhere. Kate, you're muted. Kate is muted, folks. Can you unmute him?
Try to get him unmuted.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so with the parking and circulation, like I mentioned before, we're trying to take what's there as far as existing pavement and entrances and exits and make the circulation more efficient. So that's how we came up with the striping plan. That road that goes to Doncaster, there's already a drive there. We're just putting parking on both sides of it. And, as far as sidewalks, there's sidewalks and paved areas in front of the building for pedestrians that park there to access the building. We currently don't have any proposed at the outlot there.
Right.
Bill, the town is going to be looking for a sidewalk easement along the West Henrietta Road frontage. At
Okay.
this time, they are not, the commissioner, I did talk with him about construction of sidewalks in that area. There are going to be some safety improvements that are going to be hopefully made along West Henrietta Road as part of a New York State DOT traffic study. So he doesn't want the sidewalks being put in and ripped out as part of the DOT
Right.
project, but would certainly want the necessary sidewalk easement, at least along the frontage.
Okay, it appears the entire neighborhood adjacent to it has no sidewalks.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. How about, can you tell us a little bit about site lighting?
Yep, so we're not proposing a whole lot for additional lighting. The main lighting on the site is going to come from what's on the building. It's got wall packs and that kind of thing to light up the entrances. John's already got a couple lights out in the front parking lot along 15 there that shine towards the building. One of those is probably going to stay, the one directly to the east of the building. There's another one that would be in the DOT right away that we need to move. You can see on the plan, it's proposed off to the north there, off the little parking jut out. Somewhere in there is where we're thinking would be a good spot to kind of light up there, that area. And John's able to run his electric from that pole that's in front of the building to those spots currently. So that's all that we're proposing for new lighting.
Okay. Is the pavement that already there that has the handicap a total of 3 spaces? And I believe the backup distance between the parking spaces is 30 some feet. I'm sorry, I can't see that. How,
Yeah, 35 feet.
35?
Yep. So that area is going to have an overhead door, I believe, for the garage and deliveries and that kind of thing. Is that correct, John? So that's where trucks and that kind of thing are going to be backing up to utilize that. So
Yes.
kept the space wider than the 24 foot just to make that turn a little easier.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about your stormwater management that you have designed?
Yeah, so drainage on the site generally flows in all directions away from the building. Most, if not all of it, eventually makes its way to 15 and then loops around to Doncaster. Some of it along 15 currently just sits in some low areas, and then once it fills up, it keeps going around the corner and eventually gets to, there's two drainage inlets in the grass along Doncaster that everything gets to. So, you know, we're going to keep that drainage pattern the way it is best we can. We do have a bioretention area with plantings proposed. After talking with town staff, it sounds like we have a little work to do to get on the same page as far as how to take care of the stormwater, but it's nothing we haven't done before, so I'm not too worried about figuring that out. The increased runoff from the new impervious, according to our analysis, is very small, but you know, whatever it ends up, the final number we agree upon, we're gonna be treating it in that bio area that's gonna be planted.
And this is for Ramsey, if you can speak to stormwater. They're not obligated to either treat for water quality or any type of retention of the existing paved area. They're just accommodating the new
The
pavement.
redevelopment parcel, Bill. I'm just going through town engineer's notes. Must meet our stormwater management code for the town regarding increase in the peak flow rates, velocity, duration of stormwater concentration. They have to address how they're mitigated. Technical calculations demonstrating compliance with our code needs to be provided. We need percolation testing. It goes on. There's quite a bit of work they still need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But Kate, in your experience, the existing pavement and impervious, you don't have to accommodate, or is the design proposed to accommodate some or a portion of the existing pavement and building?
Yeah, so we need to treat 25% of any disturbed existing pavement for water quality.
I see.
So that's figured into our calculations. And like I said, you know, there's some technical things that we'll work out with town staff as far as this goes, but overall, the peak flows are very small, the change. It's not like we're dealing with something from a huge development. So it's going to be very easy to capture and treat in a facility sized similar to what we have shown.
Okay. All right. Okay. You did mention Heinrich is your landscape architect. Is Heinrich with you tonight?
I believe he is. Let's see
That
here.
could be Fisher.
He's on as Alex Fisher.
Changing his name, huh?
Good evening, Bill.
Heinrich, how are you? Just a couple of things. I think what's proposed that I saw is fine. I'm just curious. It appeared that there's a large dead tree toward the back of the parcel.
There is one ash that is right along Doncaster, which is deader than a doornail.
Yep.
And then almost directly in behind the building to the north of what is shown as existing evergreens
Okay,
are two fairly large poplars. They are multi-stem, and at least one stem on each one is, completely dead.
okay.
They're probably in the 50 to 60 or more height range, and proposing to take those out because they're simply one very messy tree, but they do pose a danger in terms of, breakage and dropping limbs.
Yeah, okay. And I did notice that the area between the shoulder of the road and the pavement does, and I'm not really talking about the area where the buckets and that curb cut is closed off. I think that needs to just be neatened up. But same with the area closer to the southern curb cut. Just seems to be a lot of volunteer growth in there that might be a sight distance issue if that curb cut stays open.
Primarily, Bill, in there, it does need to have some maintenance done to it to, clean it up, trim things back. We purposely didn't show additional plant materials either to the south or the north for the simple reason we're so close to West Henrietta Road. Very much concerned about, salt damage, from the winter time. But also all of that is within the right of way. It is absolutely loaded with different underground utilities. So we primarily tried to stay away from it. The owner has, I believe, added some perennials, some grasses, which, those could be added. And we just need to be very careful in terms of the plant material salt tolerance.
Sure, I think, what struck me was really just kind of cleaning up the edge of, between the edge of your pavement and the shoulder of the road. It's if it's just, well-kept lawn, that's better than what's there today. And I noticed you have plant materials proposed around the dumpster, but is the dumpster enclosed with a fence?
Yeah,
It is enclosed, yes.
yes, the dumpster will have an enclosure per town standards. So whether it has to be, chain link with screening or masonry, that'll be fully enclosed.
Looking to add a columnar, evergreen, to surround the entire dumpster area simply so the neighboring properties and also people coming ingress and egress from the site are not looking at a dumpster and fencing per se. We're trying to soften that whole thing.
How is it working that it's behind two parking spots? Is that going to cause you guys a problem?
Well, I'll say ideally we wanted it to be over on the south end of the site near Furlong, kind of where those proposed trees are in a half circle there. We'd like to move it there if we could, but we thought that was in too close proximity to 15 and the neighbor to the south there. If we could move it there, we would like to. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be behind a couple parking spots that are going to have to be blocked off during pickup time.
That again, I believe is going to be a situation of management of when refuse pickup does happen.
Yeah.
I think that can be done on the off hours, so it should not be any conflict with parking.
Where is it located now? The dumpster.
Do you see the landscape plan, Ramsey? It's on the additional parking to the north there. It's on the western edge of that, and it's got a bunch of small evergreens around it.
No, where is it now currently?
Oh, it's pretty close to the building, I think. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah, currently we just have just a small, like 10-yard dumpster that we're using for the construction debris.
Because isn't there an existing place where the dumpster's been located with the enclosure? It might be good to know where that was and why we moving it, or trying to understand that a little bit.
So it was, according to some old pictures that I have, it was in that vicinity, and it was it's in real poor condition. It was always exposed. The surrounding fence around it was pretty weak, and it was always an eyesore, always.
Wait,
The
you're
other
saying it was
thing to
always in this
consider that-
location that you're proposing?
Ramsey, the other thing to consider or be considered there is if the town does allow the ice cream, pickup there. With prevailing westerly winds, the other motivation was to move the dumpster away from any area where people might be eating things, just because you do in the summertime can't totally avoid any odors or freight.
So the dumpster was moved away. I got you. You're saying you moved it to the northern part. It wasn't there, but it used to be over by the building, over by where the ice cream's going to go. And you're telling us you want to move it because you don't want it near the ice cream window.
That's
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay, let's ask if some board members have any questions.
I do. I'm wondering why the separation of the northern parking addition from the existing. You could gain at least 3, maybe 4 spots if you didn't keep the drive between the 2 parking areas.
Yeah, James, I think the part you're talking about is like the little bottleneck there.
Correct.
Yeah, so I guess the main reason for that is we're trying to utilize that existing drive as best as possible. I think you're right. I think we have some room to shift that to the south if we need to, especially to get it away from that property line on Doncaster a little more. We just need to make sure that we can make those, turning movements coming around the corner there. But I think you're right. I think there's some room to play with.
The other thing to be considered in there is how that area is going to be graded to drain it properly.
Right.
Fair enough.
Thank you, James. Anyone else? Laura, John?
Yeah, I have a question. So I realize they're applying for a variance not to put in fire protection sprinklers, but I just want to know, is the water service to the building adequate if sprinklers end up being required for the building?
So that's part of the reason that John's applying for the variance for the sprinklers is because it is not adequate. So it is a huge financial burden to install that system. Again, that's Scott Fisk's domain with Party, but I can say from doing the water calculations and the initial look at the fire service there, pressure is very low out on 15. And, John would probably need a booster pump and a very large service, frankly, probably a 6-inch to make that work. So currently, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do have a design for a cooking hood sprinkler system that feeds off the domestic that will work with that line. Is that correct?
We have an Ansel system.
So you have, there's some sort of fire suppression system figured in there that is just for the kitchen area, correct?
Yeah, well, we've used, we had fire retardant board in the basement. We have the double 5/8X in the building.
Mm-hmm.
We have the in a very elaborate Ansel system in the kitchen.
Right. So forgive me, John, I don't know the ins and outs of the interior modifications that Scott's proposing to take care of that. But to answer your question in short, no, the existing water service would not be adequate.
Okay, thank you very much for answering. Appreciate it.
Okay, what is the status of the other zoning variances that you guys need to file?
Yeah, so for the sprinkler variance, Scott tabled that meeting. It was supposed to be before this meeting. Sounds like he's still working on things with Mr. Roth as far as that goes. So he's going to be holding that meeting in September. we're not really sure if we can apply for the other zoning board meeting for the expansion until we get that part figured out. And we wanted to get the ball rolling with the planning board too, even if it's conditioned on, you know, zoning board approval first, but we're just trying to get things started here.
Jason, you have any questions, or Laura?
I'm all set.
Laura? I don't see Laura, guys. She's all set.
Sorry, trying to unmute myself.
There she is.
Just curious, I think there was a comment from the fire marshal about the increase in occupancy and concerns about omitting the sprinkler system. What is the code requirement in terms of occupancy and sprinkler? Is there a threshold that we've passed with the proposed changes? Do we have any information on that?
What are you asking, Laura? I'm sorry. Like what the threshold of when you need a sprinkler or not?
Yeah, so the comments that I read from the fire marshal had to do specifically with his concerns about the increased occupancy and whether to grant the variance. So I'm curious as to whether there's a threshold for occupancy.
There is a threshold that kicks in the state code. For
Okay.
the town code, if you put in 50%, make improvements to the building 50% of the building's assessed value, the town code requires you to put in sprinklers. So those are the two
Okay.
thresholds. What the
Okay,
exact
thank you.
seating count is for the state, I don't know, Laura. I'm sorry.
I
Okay,
believe that
thank
to
you.
be 100.
Thank you.
All right. Other board questions? Ramsey, you asked yours?
I think I did a lot of asking of questions, so I
All
think,
right.
I'm pretty good.
All right. This is a public hearing, and if you're out there and you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand. Ramsey and Jeff will be looking to see if there's anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this application or have questions about it. And we do know that we did receive several letters of support, emails of support for the project. I'm not sure there was anything opposing the project. Okay, does
Just trying
Jeff
to see
or
if
Ramsey?
anyone's waving their hand. I don't see anyone raising their hand, but I'm not seeing anyone wave their hand.
So no waving, no raising.
Well,
No.
I got a couple of them I started. Hayden Woods. No. I'm not seeing anyone raise their hand at this point.
Okay. So, Kay, do you mind just recapping? So this application will likely be tabled tonight pending your zoning board of appeal variances. You will get some comments from us about some site plan issues, but also some stormwater management issues. But other than that, can you just briefly tell us when you think variances might be heard and when we might see you again?
Yeah, so, Bill, I was hoping to get preliminary approval if we could tonight to tee us up for the next meeting, but I don't know if that's possible since we're getting tabled. Sounds like both zoning board meetings are going to be next month.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of a horse before the cart kind of thing. Which one do we get first?
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind getting some sort of an approval based on a condition of zoning board approval if that's something you guys can do. But
What we do is we, we would typically have, the preliminary application and then the final application. But we typically do not give either preliminary or final, certainly not final, but
mhm.
when there's a pending variance application that could affect the site plan. But it does not preclude us from, it's not like you're going to need 2 more meetings once you've secured the variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals. So you're going to have to come back here once again anyway.
Right.
And as long as you are able to take a look at the conditions of the letter that come from us and address those in the time before you come back, then we typically do provide or do approve preliminary and final at the same time.
Certainly, that'll be our goal. I don't have the meeting schedule in front of me, so I can't remember if the zoning board is before the planning board meeting next month or not.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you that there may not be some gymnastics that you have to go through
Yeah.
to get your comments resolved from the planning board and then get back in to get on the next agenda.
Right.
But I would ask you to work with Ramsey and Rick and Everett to get through the comments and kind of be ready for us as soon as the variances are approved.
Certainly, will do.
All right. I want to thank you. Wish you luck with the variances. And Heinrich, good to see you.
Likewise, thank you.
Okay. We are going to move on. We didn't have any comments on that, so we're going to move on to the next application, which is, by the way, you guys are welcome to hang around, but I think you might have heard most of our deliberations just now. So please give Ramsey a call in the morning. The next application is 8P02-20. This is the application of Passero Associates, agent for New Monroe Real Estate, LLC, for a site plan modification to expand and reconfigure the parking, increasing the number of parking spaces from 36 to 47 on property located at 2816 Monroe Avenue, better known as Pittsford Animal Hospital. Is there anyone representing the applicant?
Yes, Dave Cox with Passero Associates.
Hello, David. How are you?
Good. I can take it away if you want.
Yes, please. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah,
Go
absolutely.
right ahead.
So as Bill mentioned, we are looking to get 11 more parking spaces on the property. And the reason for that is there's really kind of been a shift and a change in the animal hospital or animal veterinary services. There's been an increased demand for advanced medical services. So there's a lot more surgical procedures, x-rays, diagnostic imaging, pharmacy, dental care, nutritional counseling. This is all stuff that was pretty rare, 10 or 15 years ago. And now it's much more common. I mean, these animal hospitals, they're really like a full-blown hospital, like a human hospital, except for pets. So they have all the same technology. But what comes with that is, a vet doesn't know how to operate all these pieces of diagnostic imaging and x-rays. So you need specialists. So you need specialists for the different types of equipment, the different types of counseling and pharmacy and dental. So there's just an increase of staff. So we need to generate some additional parking spaces for that increase in staff. So where we're picking up those spaces is there's an existing drive on the east side of the building, which currently is one way. If you pull in off of Monroe Ave, you you can either park right in the front there, or if you go around to the parking in the back, it is one way. You park in the back, and then you would exit via Clover. So we are putting parallel parking along that existing one-way drive, and that would be for staff only. The way that works is the first staff member in kind of parks at the space all the way to the top, all the way to the north. Second person pulls in behind them, and so on, so that no people visiting or customers will be parking there. They'll be parking in the front parking lot or the rear parking lot. So we did look at the site and see, where can we add some additional landscaping to kind of offset the additional impervious area that we're putting. So we found a location to add 5 more trees, 10 more shrubs, and 41 perennials. So we're really kind of beefing up the landscaping there. All the traffic pattern, if you will, is going to remain as it is today, so no change there. We're at about 0.15 acres of disturbance, so well under the acre threshold, so we don't need to do any a SWIP. And we also need some variances due to this parking and drive aisle being close to the lot line. So we are on the zoning board agenda for September 2nd. So after we go there, then we'll be looking forward to come back to the board here. I think that covers most of it, and I can take any questions you have.
David?
Yeah.
Let's go back a little bit. Were there any other alternatives to putting this drive lane in considered? And let me tell you my thoughts on this. And I don't know if you have anybody representing the animal hospital on with you here.
Terry Weiland with the animal hospital is also on.
Okay. For the record, my animals are treated here, and Dr. Weiland is our vet. But the question comes back. I'm not sure where the animal hospital ever was with the conversation with the project next door and interconnecting. Ramsey, you can tell me whether or not there was preclusions in the Whole Foods discussion that precluded interconnection between the animal hospital and that project.
Yes, there could be no connection between that project and Clover.
Okay, and Clover.
Yes, there is a restrictive covenants to that effect that has been filed.
Okay.
So the Whole Foods project cannot connect.
Okay, and that's so the traffic doesn't end up on Clover.
That's right.
From there. Okay. So there's currently a gate up there. Is that, David, is that proposed to be closed and you're putting a parking space in there?
Yeah, so there is a current gate there now. We are, blocking that off and putting parking in front of it.
Okay. Okay.
Is that the gate where people use to access the trail? Because if it is, I would request that not be blocked off.
The trail gets routed around. So yeah, it won't get blocked off until after the new trail gets put in.
Okay. Once the new trail is put in.
Right.
You're saying then you want to block off that gate.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Okay. So let's say that's not an option. I'm wondering if there is an option for the front to interconnect, because I know that at one point we did show those aligning, although the parking spaces were flipped and the drive aisles were flipped. So either looking at a connection, I'm trying to think of ideas here, because we have too many curb cuts out here onto Monroe. Try to reduce the number of curb cuts, and we actually have a bank next door that has very low utilization of the parking in the back, and you guys need parking. So you're super jamming, you know, this site when the site next door was there ever discussion, or could there be a consideration of discussion for shared parking?
Terry,
And
you're
I
on
know
the
that's,
line. Did you want to address the bank?
Yes, only reason we're asking for all this other parking is because we went to both where the Whole Foods is going to be built, because we use spots in the back there now, and we've been told we cannot park there anymore once Mama San is torn down. We did go to the bank, and the bank said absolutely not. You cannot use our parking lot.
okay, you did try.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. So that's, I appreciate that effort very much. And was it somebody local at the bank, or was it somebody that manages it from Timbuktu?
Timbuktu.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, so you tried.
Yes.
All right. Now, from a technical standpoint, David, would you tell me, it looks to me like on that drive lane on the east side, that from the edge of pavement or the curb, excuse me, it actually drops down to the fence line of the bank next door. How do you propose to actually build that?
Yes, so it varies between 12 inches and 24 inches along that side. So what we're doing is the curb that we're putting in is actually going to be a form of a retaining wall curb. So it's a little bit beefier, a little bit thicker, and that's how we're going to treat that, 12 inches to 24 inch difference in grade.
Do you have an easement with the bank? to
Say
do
that
the
again?
work? Do you have an easement with a temporary construction easement with the bank to construct that wall?
So we specifically designed the retaining wall that it goes kind of it wings underneath the parking, so it actually does not go into the bank property at all. So we're able to completely construct the retaining wall curb without going onto the bank property.
So
And go ahead, Bill, I'm sorry.
okay, so you're probably doing that because they're not easy to deal with.
Correct.
So, but we end up with, we the residents of Brighton end up with a curb that has a fence on top of it, then a wall that's going to have some kind of a barrier on top of it. Is that correct?
Yes, there will be two fences essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Ramsey, why don't you and I talk about that offline?
Well, one of the concerns I have about that whole stretch there is that we're down to 12 feet. That's not a lot for the fire trucks. And I'm concerned about comments from the fire marshal and if that meets the fire access codes. Because going down to 12 feet, those couple of feet matter. Right now, you pretty much have 15 feet there. Now we're going down to 12. So I'm a little concerned about the access through there with just 12 feet. And that goes along that side. It's the same issue that we're having with having to butt up a retaining wall next to that fence.
Could the applicant speak to that? Because I look at the drawing and it looks more like the 12.5 feet is existing, but it's getting increased.
Yes, we are increasing the pavement area.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah, right now it's a little more than 12.5. It's closer to 14 or 15 currently. And we are expanding it to be able to put the parking in there. It will be 12.5 after we finish all the improvements.
with 8-foot wide parking spaces. Is that
Correct.
correct, Dave?
Yes.
Oh, are we talking the drive on the east side?
Yes, there will be parallel parking on
Oh,
the east side.
forgive me, I missed that.
Gotcha.
And that starts necessitating the need for the retaining wall.
Is there a section of the wall?
On the detail sheet there is.
Is there?
Yep. So that kind of top middle.
Oh, you're
Yep, there you go.
you're cantilevering it back.
Little bit to the right. That's the regular curb. There you go.
Okay, I see. Okay. And you're just putting a fence on, is that like a 42-inch barrier, or is it a railing?
It's going to be more like a 42-inch fence.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And that's it. Oh, okay. Okay. Dr. Weiland, one of the things I know, because we go there quite a bit, is the staff take animals out for a walk on the lawn area and under those 3 trees that will be lost. Where are you gonna take the animals to walk now?
First of all, I wish I was a doctor, but I'm not. I take care of all the facilities. My son is the doctor and hospital director for Pittsford Animal Hospital.
Todd's your son?
Yes,
Yeah, he's our vet. Yeah.
yes.
Anyway,
When I talked to Dave, the fence line that we have over on the west side, we would take and move that right over to the property line.
yeah.
And that would be a green area to walk them down in front of the cars.
Yeah, I noticed that fence line is the chain link part, and I think what's part of Mama San's property is probably that wood shed that's out back. Or maybe it's a part of a fence. I couldn't tell, but if you kind of cleaned that area out, there's some dead trees and brush in there, and reset a new fence in there, you probably could get some lawn between the pavement and the property line.
Yes,
But that needs a little cleaning up.
yes. That fence is pretty old and bent up and everything else. We
Yeah.
want to get rid of it.
Yeah, you also need to get that shed that's on the pedestrian easement. You need to relocate that somewhere, so take that into your consideration.
Okay,
That should not be there.
got it. We can do that. It used to be where we used to keep our old x-rays and everything else. Now everything has gone digital, so we could remove it.
So Ramsey, that pedestrian easement conflicts with the shed. Won't the 2 proposed new trees conflict with that easement as well?
Yep. They should not be there either.
Yeah, they can't be there.
What I can do is I can add the proposed trail to these plans so that we can get so you can see exactly where it's going.
That may help.
That would help. Yeah. Okay. Did you address site lighting at all, David? I know there's some lights out there. They look like floods that are tipped at a certain angle with not the best cutoff.
We did not look at lighting, but I certainly can look at lighting.
I think we'd ask you to do that, please. Sure. There are lights there, but they're tilted up at like a 45-degree angle. They're older, metal halide or something. But like you to take a look at both the placement and you probably reuse the poles, but
right. Get some new heads on there.
The new heads, get those.
Dave, do you have a concern of the 2 parking spots furthest east off of Clover, right at that entrance?
There's parking spaces there now, so we're just leaving those as is.
Have you had any problems with those?
Terry, has there been any issues with those?
Not at all.
Yeah, there's actually 6 there now. The two is there's part of 6 that exists there.
Okay.
Other questions from the board?
Yeah, this is John. I have a question. How do you handle snow removal and snow storage on this site?
At a lot of our places, we haul it off site. We have a contractor that'll come in with a dump truck if it's that amount and load it up and take it off site.
If
Okay,
you don't-
thank you.
Dave, have you checked to make sure you have all the compliant accessible parking spots by numbers?
Yes.
Laura, Jason, any questions?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not hearing any more from the board. Let's open this up to the public and see if anybody has any questions or comments. Jeff or Ramsey, you see anybody?
Nope, I don't see anyone.
I don't think there's anybody else in here besides.
I'm not seeing it. Yeah, the process of elimination. I think we're all set there, Bill.
All right. Okay. Terry and David, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Again,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be discussing this a little bit later. Oh, David, I'm sorry. Remind me, you said September 2nd for the variances.
Right.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, that brings us to application 8P03-20, application of Passero Associates agent for RFM Morgan Properties owner for site plan modification to demolish 2 20-stall carports and replace with surface parking on property at 2125 Monroe Avenue, the Brighton Garden Apartments.
Good evening, board members. I'm David Cox with Passero Associates. So Brighton Gardens has a 40-unit apartment project, and part of the town code is requiring 1 space that's covered per unit. So they do have 2 covered parking structures for 40 car spaces, but they're pretty old. They're in rough shape. They're structurally compromised, and they've really become just a place where people are kind of dumping things. Am I able to share my screen at all? There's some pictures I could kind of show. Don't know if that's possible or not.
Jeff, can you do that?
I'm not sure. We can try. Does it give you an option now, David, or
Yeah.
do I? Okay.
All right. Can everyone see that picture?
Yep.
Yeah, so here's just, just people kind of just leaving their stuff there. Here's another one. So, and it's just, it's not what the garage should be should be used for. So Morgan is there. Each unit has storage inside the building, so they would much rather have people store their things in the enclosed storage units inside the building and not just kind of pile things up in the garage structure. So they would like to remove the garage structure that's in really rough shape and just put in surface parking. So that's kind of their what they're going for there.
Okay, could we go back to the site plan? Jeff, please. So there's actually, the one that you were just showing us pictures of is along that south side.
And north side, both of them. There was pictures
Oh,
from both sides.
they're both the same
Yeah.
structurally. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And how much distance is there from the back of the garage to the property line? I'm
About
afraid I can't read that.
42 feet, I believe.
42
Yeah, 40,
feet.
41.9.
Okay. All right. And when you talk about replacing with asphalt, are you looking at, is the slab currently concrete and you're going to tear that up?
Yeah, they would tear that up and just make it all asphalt.
Okay. How about any new lighting? Is there any new lighting proposed?
So there wasn't going to be any new lighting proposed.
And what do you have in the way of drainage back there? Do you have drainage structures or?
So on the south side, what the current parking structure just has a sloped roof that just dumps water off the back. And then it goes into the grass area where it infiltrates. So we would just maintain that existing drainage pattern. On the north side, we're putting in two new catch basins that the parking will drain to that green space area, drain to the catch basins, and we'll tie that into the existing storm sewer network.
I see. Okay. Oh, I see where your two structures are. Okay. All right. So the concrete sidewalk and the asphalt will be flush.
Right. Correct.
Okay. I see. Okay. Very good. All right. Does anyone, Ramsey, do you have questions?
Yeah, Dave, how do you see the headlights from the cars that are parking there at night being screened, especially during the winter? I know there's some vegetation back there, but I'm a little worried about all of a sudden now we have a row of parking behind those houses on Newcrest. And how do you propose screening those headlights?
So right now there is a wood board-on-board fence and some landscaping there. I do have a picture of it if you wanted to see.
The aerial was, I've been out there. My concern is that fence is still going to light up those backyards because the fence is so far off the parking spots. They're not necessarily cutting off the headlights. I don't know the elevation change either back there, but I'm a little concerned about those houses now seeing a lot more headlights going into their yards.
It's relatively the same elevation. On either side of where the existing garage is, there's parking on both sides. The headlights would shine now there. But to your point, there would be some additional cars.
There are going to be, yeah, you're almost doubling it. So it's going to be quite a few more cars are going to be shining their headlights in that direction. And it is a residential area of and you're in a residential B zone now. So you're not proposing any mitigation?
Oh, we weren't at this time, no.
Okay, other board members?
Are there any new accessible, ADA accessible, mobility impaired parking spots planned for this?
Yes, and I realize that they're not showing up on this plan, but yeah, yes, there is.
Okay.
I'm good. I was muted earlier.
Laura, were you asking a question?
No, I said I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay.
We have one thing, we got a communication from one of the neighboring properties, Mary Goldenberg, regarding the maintenance of the fence. Can you shed any light on why the fence hasn't been maintained?
I do not have a answer for that, but as part of this project, we can have the fence dressed up. I think. Do you know what type of? I mean, I think it might need some painting, but I
No,
don't.
no, a tree had fallen on the fence and they haven't fixed it.
Oh. Okay, I did
Is
not
what
see
she's
that when
saying
I
in
was
the
out there, but
communication. So she definitely has some concerns about your proposed plans.
okay. Yeah, we can definitely call out for that to be repaired.
Yeah, you may want to go out there and check the condition and make sure you can, either way, it needs to get fixed.
For sure.
Or the planning board does.
James, you have any questions?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, thank you. Any other board members? Ramsey, you guys all
I
set?
think I've asked everything I had to ask.
All right, thank you. All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address this application, please raise your hand.
I don't think there's anyone else in the audience at this point.
No. Okay. All right.
Looking at it. Jeff, would you agree?
I agree.
Oh,
Thank you, Jeff.
all right. Okay, David, thank you.
Thank you very
David,
much.
thank you.
All right, so my understanding is application under new business 7P NB 120, the application of Teamsters Local 118 and De Pasquale Construction has been adjourned to our September 16th meeting.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, well, that's all of our public hearings for the evening. Shall we circle right back and make some decisions, and then we'll look at the signs?
Sounds like a game plan.
Okay. Application 8P0120. John, I have it as Greer, but is it Gear or Greer? This is 2171 West Henrietta Road. So this needs variances, right?
Yes, and we need to know what's going on with the occupancy loads. How
Okay.
many seats are they going to be allowed to have? I would think, so we can know how many, parking spots do they really need.
Yeah.
And two,
Yeah,
are
I
they
think-
going to have that ice cream window or not? Because that's starting to dictate the dumpster location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I went out there and was a little surprised how much is done. The parking lot is not done, but the restriping, sealing is done, like he said. I don't know. I would love to see some type of sidewalks internal to get people to the front door or to the ice cream. Everybody's going to be walking down drive aisles, but there's no real precedent in the neighborhood. There isn't a sidewalk within a half mile. Well, there is up on the on the U of R stuff a little bit to the north, but
Yeah, I mean,
this is a
you're
tough
asking
one.
them to walk in the parking lot. I just don't know how busy the parking lot's gonna be.
Right.
He could do it, it's just an added expense.
Yeah, and it's like we're making him put in a sidewalk when everybody else is walking down the street to get to the place.
Yeah. It's kind of like not making them put the sidewalks in now along West Henrietta Road.
Is there already an easement there? There's a couple of things in the way of easements that I can't read.
There's no sidewalk easements. There's a number of easements there.
Okay. All
Is
right.
if I remember right, there's overhead wires.
And I would say Ramsey, I would not want him just to gore stripe that curb cut to the width that DOT wanted. I'd make him pull the asphalt out.
Is everyone okay with the parallel parking spots?
I'm not, but what else can you do about it?
Do they really need them? I mean, frankly, should we be asking them to bank some of these parking spots?
How did those parking spots affect the sidewalk easement?
They'd be gone if the sidewalk was ever built.
Right.
Well, you'd be trying to put some of it also into the right-of-way.
Yeah.
Asking DOT we could put the sidewalk in the right-of-way. We
Well,
gotta figure out
it's-
what the zoning board's gonna allow them to do, because if the sidewalk, if they don't get the occupancy and those spots aren't gonna be there, then the town would definitely prefer to have the sidewalk along the property frontage.
I would either want to see the sidewalk or that turned into grass
Mm-hmm.
and the pavement saw cut and removed.
I didn't
Well,
know.
and there's pipe rail, guardrail along there, which that and the invasive plants makes it all rather ugly.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if we wanted to try to get those parallel parking spots somewhere else on the site. And do we want to close off Furlong or the West Henrietta Road access point?
To me, it doesn't make any sense to keep the West Henrietta access point with the furlong right there.
No.
And you also have a light at Doncaster so people can make lefts out of there.
Right. Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's really dangerous having furlong and that curb cut that close together.
No, I don't like that. One of them
I-
likes to go.
I sat there for 10 minutes to try and get out of there.
You should have gone up to Doncaster and
I
Used to
should have.
signal.
I just couldn't get through. The site's all blocked off because he just had it sealed.
gotcha.
Yeah, I would be all for a condition of removing that curb cut.
Yeah, I agree.
And that if the occupancy doesn't justify the 8 parking spaces, I'd rather have those 8 parallel parking spaces removed.
I mean, if he desperately needs the parking and we get him to remove the parallel, he could land bank something to the northwest of the, or the west of the new northern spots. You got a ton of open space there.
Sure. Does anybody else not like, if they're going to put a fence around, or even whether it's a wood enclosure, I don't think they need to add the shrubs around the dumpster enclosure. That, to me, just draws attention to it. But that's just me. If you want them, we'll just leave them.
Yeah, I don't see it's a particular need.
Or your last word got cut off.
Sorry, I said I don't think it's a particular need to have, as you said.
Yeah,
It's fenced off. We really don't need landscaping around it.
no, just draws further attention to it, put the money at the same value of planting someplace else, containers or, planters someplace else. How are we aligning with the conditions? This is essentially a table.
It's a table. I have one modification to one of the recommended conditions I had, which was that they need to eliminate both the West Henrietta Road driveway access points due to,
Okay.
due to the potential conflict. We do not have anything in there on removing the parallel parking spots. I just want to make sure.
Well, do we mention, you do have a condition about the easement, the sidewalk easement, correct?
Yes.
So do we need to articulate that if the sidewalk goes in, the parking goes away?
We'll know better the next time they come back where they are with the zoning board.
Hmm.
And then the specific location of the easement. We would prefer to have the sidewalk pulled off the curb line of West Henrietta Road, obviously. So we can get more space there, we would prefer it. Either way, when you come down to the southern end of the parking area along West Henrietta Road, we will need an easement in there. We just don't have enough width. And it does not seem to impact the proposed parking at this point. So there is maybe a way, the engineering guys were looking at it. So right now, I said, we just don't have enough information to say exactly where do we want the easement. Except that we want them to notice that we're gonna want one.
North of Doncaster, it's gonna have to be right at the curb because front yards are so short. But yeah, from Doncaster south.
That's a little bit of the problem we do have when we start. We don't have a good enough plan out there to start telling someone we're gonna take his parking spots away either.
Right. Okay.
Ramsey, how is this applicant? Is he,
Bill, I'll be honest with you, I don't get him. We tried to get him in here probably a year ago. He's been talking about this and we were like, really need to go into the planning board and start this process. And he wanted to do his architectural review board. And then all of a sudden he realized, oh, now I got to put sprinklers in. I don't want to do, just one of those type of things. I think the building looks a lot better.
the building
He's
does?
done a lot for the neighborhood. Seem to appreciate them.
Yeah.
That's all good because that hasn't been the history with that property in the neighborhood. Those are the positive things. I think in many ways that this may be a benefit to the community. I know I like walking up to my places in my neighborhood, and I know we have that going on also in off of Penfield Road, the Treetop Cafe. Those folks seem to like that.
No, I'd much rather see this operating than the way it's been for the last, the roller coaster for the past 20 years.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, so those are the pros and cons.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if we can just get some minor improvements on this, that, let's not shoot much higher, but, just get some minor. I'm just noticing, Laura, did you see this detail they've got along the edge of the pavement? Are they putting stone?
Yes.
Around the edges of it?
Yes.
Is that on the parallel parking or
No,
just around the edge of the pavement in general?
I think it's maybe there to try to break up the velocity of the stormwater or something.
Yeah,
It
probably.
seems to be, near the stormwater facilities.
It's
It's on the downhill side of all the parking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
actually, says,
I've never seen that work for very long.
no, it just gets filled up with weeds.
It's get weedy and I get it, but that's so flat out there. I don't know that that's necessary.
That area is going to be reworked too. I know that. So
I mean,
fair
I'd
amount of
rather-
comments.
I'd rather have them put a perimeter drain around the catch the runoff coming out of the sub base than have them do this. But I'm open to the engineers' ideas on this. I just don't think it's
Yeah,
going to
Bill, I don't mean to be rude to you engineers on the board, but sometimes when it comes to stormwater, I've seen some pretty ugly designs. I'm sorry.
That was
Sorry,
kindly
I'm offending any of you, but
That's harsh, Ramsey, harsh.
That was good.
okay. Well,
you know, it's all about meeting the standards.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts.
Sorry, guys. Probably kept them to myself.
she's in LA also, so she's
I know,
sensitive.
so she can
She's
go
a
both ways.
sensitive. Yeah. All right, are we ready for a motion? I'll move that application 8P01-20 be tabled. Oh God, I don't have my cheat sheet. What am I supposed to say?
Hang on.
I don't have the number.
Right here.
If someone's got a cheat sheet, will you pick up where I left off?
Yeah, I got
Based
it.
on the testimony given and the plan submitted, additional information is requested in order to make a determination of significance and to have a complete application. How many items outlined in the planning board report?
There is 30 items.
The 30 items in the planning board report are required to be submitted no later than 2 weeks prior to the next planning board meeting.
I also have a modification to, is it
Well-
okay if I chime in?
Second.
There we go. Now we can do it.
That was
Moved in
Jake.
second, you got a modification?
I have a modification to propose condition number 27. And it should read, the vehicles using the driveway access from Furlong Road might conflict with vehicles using the West Henrietta Road driveway. Both West Henrietta Road driveway access points shall be removed.
Period. Good.
Here, that's all I had to change.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, or actually Ramsey, we better do the
Yeah,
roll
I'll,
on
let
this.
me do the roll.
Yeah,
Wentworth,
Aye.
Price,
aye.
Civiletti,
Aye.
Babcock, Steiner,
Aye.
Wasowski,
Aye.
Matters tabled.
Thank you. Okay, application APO220, Astro Associates for the New Monroe Real Estate LLC. This is the expansion from 36 to 47 parking spaces at Pittsford Animal Hospital, 2816 Monroe Avenue.
So Bill, you're concerned about having two fences back to back?
I just think they're gonna be, one's actually gonna look like it's on top of the other one. I mean, he can physically do what he's showing on that detail. It's just, you know, what's too bad is that the bank, they don't even, there's like no staff at that bank anymore. There's 10 or 12 parking spaces back there that are completely unused. And then we're going to jam 10 pounds of asphalt in a 5-pound bag on this site. We can't get anybody to cooperate or have
No,
shared
not.
access.
Nope.
And it's,
Well, you know what happened, I'll be honest with you, the bank put their fence on the veterinarian property at one time. So they went and asked for permission to keep it there, and the vets told them to get it off their property. So my hunch is if they went back to the bank probably wouldn't be very cooperative.
I see. Okay, there's a little
There's
history.
always these backstories, you know.
Yeah, okay. Well, this is unfortunate. I mean, it's an asset to the community. I don't know what anybody else feels, but it seems
Well,
like,
in your experience, they need parking, right?
oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, though, I'm not sure I wouldn't ask them to close one of those curb cuts out onto Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
I really would. The one to the west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether that curb cut's there or not. That's a very tough parking spot to get in at the end. And they actually have enough room there to actually create a 3 or 4 foot backup
Mm-hmm.
space to help the person backing up, and then close off the rest of that curb cut.
Which one, the west or the
West.
west?
Yeah, that one.
And then where it says 57.6 would be the backup area expansion.
Right. I don't know if others agree with me or not.
I do.
Is it consideration should be given?
Can we make it stronger?
No, I would
Do whatever
say
you want. You're the board, man. Do whatever you like.
no. Is recommend is not strong enough either.
My concern is if you cut that, the second curb cut off, when you have such a tight perpendicular parking situation, it's not always easy to back out in the same direction you came from. I don't know that it would be an improvement to cut that second curb cut off.
What if you made it one way in and one way out? Because I've ended up where there's 2 cars trying to pull out of both curb cuts at the same time.
I don't think there's really any good answer. I mean,
You're right. There's not. It's not a.
But I don't know that we can make any improvements by tampering with what's there.
Cross access would be helpful, but
Yeah, it would be very helpful.
So Laura, you're saying that even if we had backup space on the west end of that front lot, that would be sufficient to be able to get out of those westernmost spots?
My concern is, when you get parked in perpendicular parking like that, sometimes just the position of the cars, you're restricted in how you're backing out that favors one direction versus the other, especially when it's so tight. Sorry about the dog.
it's your dog. Okay.
Appropriate.
I'm just not convinced that we can really make any improvements to it by cutting off one curb cut and trying to add a turnaround or a backing out space.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think the customers are used to this, and a dramatic change may not be a substantive benefit. I would just really love to see some kind of cross access. If you had the cross access, you could definitely close that western curb cut.
So it is interesting though, been trying to minimize curb cuts and improve traffic elsewhere on this corridor. It just seems like there's a whole lot of, there's 3 in this drawing in the course of 100 and some feet.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, there's 4 if you include the bank.
Well, the
150
bank's got-
feet.
The bank's
gas
got
station.
2. Bank's got 2.
Okay, so there's 5 in 150 feet.
The one to the west is going to go away,
Amazon's is going away.
but you still have the bank.
Oh,
One
goodness.
thing I wanted to bring up is that I am concerned about fire access going down that driveway.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and not for nothing,
Variance from the zoning board, and maybe that's more on their side, but I'm not so sure how the fire marshal is going to sit with that.
so drive is one thing, but setup, I'm assuming that fire truck would have to set up on that aisle. Because
I
they
don't
can't do
know.
it.
I have to talk with the fire marshal. I don't know if they would set up that close to the building,
No.
Oh,
but they may want it as access out. They want to be, maybe may want to drive through there to get set up, or drive through there to get to a hydrant. I'm not sure.
so Bill,
And
can you,
that's going to be more for the zoning board, because they're the ones that have to grant them. The
Yeah.
variance, 12 feet.
so how many spots do they have existing? Do we
36.
know? How many?
36.
36.
36, and they're increasing it by 11. The majority of those 11 are along this fence line as parallel parking. And I'm going to tell you, that's, yeah, I know
6.
what he said about the first one coming in and parking and then the next one. But if one leaves and someone else comes in, they're going to be hard pressed to do a good job of parallel parking there. It just really feels like
I don't know how you keep customers from not trying to park there.
I don't think you do.
Just narrow, you got 8-foot wide spaces
Yeah.
on a 12-foot wide access lane.
Wow.
I know I don't have a good answer for him. This is a tough one.
You know, I really don't think there is a good answer. I mean, I see their dilemma with trying to add some spots. I don't think we can make any improvements with the access on Monroe Avenue, but I'm not opposed to them trying to add spots in the rear of the building.
In the rear, what about this? What about the parallel spots? You think that's,
I think generally parallel spots are a fail.
can't disagree with that.
So well, maybe we reduce the parallels by the building. So that would be 5 of the spots going away. And then the 5 in the back could stay because they're not, it's still encroaching on fire access width, but it's not right up against the building.
So what do they need first, Ramsey? They need, what variances do they need?
Need 4 variances, site
4.
coverage, pavement setback, parking, parking space width, and drive aisle width. You need 4 variances.
God bless them. If they can get them, then I don't see them getting it.
I'm not sure, you know, you're struggling with it. I'm not sure what will happen. In the beginning, I didn't think they would have a chance. But as you're saying, you being one of their customers, and you're saying that they need parking and they're there. I don't know what it has changed. It is documented that they have a
And
shortage
this is,
of parking.
yeah, this is just so appropriate for a shared arrangement of some kind.
Maybe down the road when the dust settles.
Well, let's table it.
Yeah, it's stable. I have an additional condition. I don't know if you guys care. The gate shall not be closed, and the parking spot spaces should not block the gate until the trail improvements have been completed.
Okay.
I don't know if you care about that. That's the only note that I had.
No, we care because it looks like it's active now.
It is active.
The trail is active through there. So
yeah,
that's a good one.
That's all I had.
All right. Do we have a motion? Did we already do it or no?
No.
No.
Yeah, I'm looking for the cheat sheet.
Yeah, go for it.
I get the number of. All right. So I move that application 8P0220 be tabled based on the testimony given and plans submitted. Additional information is requested in order to make a determination of significance and to have a complete application. The 16, is that correct, Ramsey?
There's going to be a total of 17.
The 17 items outlined in the planning board report are required to be submitted no later than 2 weeks prior to the next planning board meeting.
I'll second.
Oh, who was the second? I'm sorry.
James got it. James got it.
You got there first?
Yeah.
Let me just ask the steno, are you okay with the 17th condition? The 17th condition? Okay. Wentworth?
Aye.
Price?
Aye.
Savletti?
Aye.
Babcock Steiner?
Aye.
Osowski?
Aye.
Okay. Application 8P03-20, Passer Associates on behalf of RFM Morgan Properties, owner for site plan modification, demolish 2 20-stall carports and will replace with surface parking at 2125 Monroe Avenue, the Brighton Garden Apartments. Do we have a motion for approval on this one?
Approval or tabling, because they need the variances.
Oh, they do need variances.
It's a pretty big variance.
I'm sorry, what's
Or not.
the variance for the
They are supposed to provide covered parking.
to provide covered parking? Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You have
Sorry.
your two spaces per unit are required. One of the units have to be covered.
Is that consistent with just this zoning district or this property?
No, the zoning district.
The district, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Sorry, I forgot that.
No, we're unique on that.
We have a fix your fence condition.
No, I don't have that.
Looks like they already have stockade fence there. It just sounds like it needs to be fixed.
I'm hoping that he'll send the message back to them and they will fix it.
Okay.
I could say the existing fence shall be properly maintained and fixed where needed.
That's it. That sounds good. Jason,
Yeah, I have a condition 20. I just want to ask you guys your thoughts. And that is the proposed buffer between the proposed parking and neighborhood properties shall be increased. The landscape plan shall be submitted showing how the impacts of car headlights will be mitigated. I don't know if you guys are concerned about that or not.
I'm concerned about the headlights. We don't think that fence is solid enough to do it as it is.
It's that it's so far set back. Headlights will shoot up at, usually if you have the fence closer, Bill, it cuts off the headlights
Sure.
from the
Yeah.
spillage.
Oh, so there's two issues. One is getting the direct glare of the light in the window. The other is lighting up your backyard.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, put
Okay, we'll keep that then. I just wanted to point it out.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's
So
a
there's-
20th condition?
We have 22 conditions now. This
Oh.
22nd one being added, the existing fence shall be properly maintained and fixed where needed.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So
You're on a roll.
Yeah, I was exactly how y'all do it.
All right.
James, did you?
no, I just had a quick question. The argument is it's costly to fix these and they collect junk. But I don't see why
That's a
zoning
maintenance
is,
issue.
yeah, I don't see why zoning is going to grant this. And oh, by the way, a lot of users are going to want covered parking in the wintertime.
It didn't look as bad as I was expecting it to look.
They are, the garages are in bad shape.
Okay.
They're definitely in bad shape. Why they can't replace them is another issue.
They don't want to spend money.
That's it.
Okay. All right, can you make a
You
motion?
ready? Yeah. All right, I move that application 8P0320 be tabled based on the testimony given and plan submitted. Additional information is requested in order to make a determination of significance and to have a complete application. The 22 items outlined in the planning board report are required to be submitted no later than 2 weeks prior to the next planning board meeting.
I'll second. Any discussion? Ramsey, please call the roll.
Wentworth,
Aye.
Civiletti,
Aye.
Osowski,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Babcock, Steiner.
Aye.
Hey, Jeff, you want to do some signs?
Seconded on that last one.
On the last one was a Price. This is the first one.
Okay. What
We could do side by side.
What is that group? What do they do?
I don't know. Strategy, growth, something,
Insight.
insight.
Catapult. And off-site accounting and management. Huh. Who knew? Okay.
It was approved as submitted, as approved as presented. So you may want to approve it as recommended.
I'll move approve as recommended.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 The next one, I would recommend that it be
Wait,
denied because it got,
Who seconded?
Babcock Steiner.
the next application was denied by the zoning board of appeals, so we should also deny it.
Do you have a picture of it?
Jeffrey, if you could. Hey, Jeff. There you go. Oh, that's it.
Oh,
That was on Mockville Boulevard.
This one was denied, the one that's showing now?
It was denied because it's a freestanding sign and it's not permitted.
Oh,
uh,
okay. So we technically have an application that should be denied.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I have a motion in a second?
I move.
Move deny.
Second.
Wentworth, Price,
Aye.
aye.
Chiavetti, Babcock, Steiner,
Aye.
Osowski.
Aye.
Application is denied. Everyone, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks to the team for pulling us off.
Beth,
good.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
Everyone,
Yeah,
thank you.
thanks, folks.
Enjoy August.
Have a good one.
All right, take care.
Yeah.